Hey TV fans, Bored Now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 Episode 8. The episode is called 4.5 Vulcans. Full spoilers from the start of this review as always. So the simple setup for this one is that the majority of the crew end up becoming Vulcans. It's for a mission to Vulcan. A bunch of them go off. They're injected with the same serum which turned Spock back in a previous season. But the catch is when they come back from the mission, something goes wrong and they can't turn back. And over the course of the episode, we follow the various crew members who are now Vulcans. Things start to escalate and get out of hand, and it gets to the point where none of them want to revert back to their human self. So they are looking for a cure throughout the episode, but it gets to a point where they all decide collectively, we want to stay like this because we feel we have greater power as Vulcans. Ones that are unaffected all hiding out in Pelila's base. So we go back to her like private room and all the old junk she's got in there, but they're hanging out in there, starting to make plans, hiding out from the rest. So that's kind of what the episode is. And you realise very quickly then it's very much a comedy episode. So I will give it one bit of praise to start off with, and that is the subversion of the mission to Vulcan not actually being a big part of the episode, because you sort of think it is. Like when they're first transformed into Vulcans, you think that, okay, they're going on this mission and that's going to take up most of the episode. But you don't. The sort of swerve is that you see them quickly come back, and it's when they come back then they realise they can't change back to their human form. The opening bit of the episode is very entertaining. It's the clip which they released in advance of the season, and all the back and forth, the look of them, that cool shot of them walking very coolly. They're all in like get up, and there's a lot of funny stuff like Spock saying how I am the least logical, and Pella is having a great episode this episode because of her saying how she wasn't infected because of her DNA, but also because to her it was just like being on LSD. And I love the line about how I was on it back in the 60s, but I was also on it last week. So she is growing more and more as a character. I wasn't a big fan of this episode. I was very lukewarm on it. And unfortunately, that means it's the second one in a row I've been lukewarm on and really not that keen. And it comes down to a couple of things. First of all, as I said, it is full-on comedy for the most part. There are one or two like character beats that are quite important, but for the most part it's a full-on comedy episode. And I just didn't find it that funny. Like, it wasn't funny enough of the time, consistently funny. I definitely found some of the humour with the Patton Oswalt character, with him interacting with Spock. I did find that stuff funny. Like, he was well cast in that role because he's able to play that very deadpan, oddball type kind of character very funny, but he also brings the comedic time in. And the stuff with him, Una and Spock, was pretty entertaining for the most part. We find out that he's an ex-partner of Una's, and Una is taking Spock with him because he might have a cure. But the awkward situation is that she feels she has to pretend that her and Spock are lovers now, because she just feels it might set something off again with him if he thinks she's single. So we're seeing some different sides to Una in this episode, but for the most part, I thought it was very sitcom-y humour, which didn't really fit Trek, and the jokes just weren't consistently funny. Also, it had this annoying habit of hitting you over the head with, this is a funny moment, you should be laughing now, because consistently throughout the episode, they kept playing this sort of very jolly, like, quirky style music. Like, it was very much like signposting, and this is a funny scene, this is a funny episode, you should be laughing. So that they just kept playing it as well. Like, if they did it in one or two scenes, that would be fine, but they consistently played it throughout the episode, and I found it very distracting, really. So yeah, and I think the gimmick of the episode didn't really work because it didn't make a lot of sense the way they were acting. Like, a lot of the characters for me were acting out of character. Like, it's almost like they should have been acting quite similar, even though they were Klingons. And the other thing was, then, yeah, it didn't really make sense. Like Pike's voice was different. Like, I don't think his voice would be different just because he was a Klingon. And there was a lot of stuff like that. Some of it came off better than others. I think Uhuru was on good form, really, because she almost became a bit more of a villain as a Klingon, and she was quite good fun. But yeah, I just found so much of it to be very lame and underwhelming. Like, one of the subplots is then Marie wants to go back to work, so she wants to invite her boss, who's also a Klingon, for sorry, I keep saying Klingon, I mean to say Vulcan, who's also Vulcan, so she wants to invite him for dinner with her and Pike. And so you get to the scene, and Pike is acting quite unusual because he is he's a Vulcan, and the way she acts in the scene, like, really over the top. Like, she gets mad with him at one point, but she just acts like a very manic sort of pixie type dream girl in like a sitcom type thing, and that just annoyed me. And then later on, you had the cliche turn of events where the boss gave her a promotion, like, to his job, because he said, I'm retiring soon, and I was really impressed with you at dinner. Like, I was really impressed with your honesty and your passion. And it's just that very cliche thing of, she thinks she's blown it because she got all upset, and the way Pike was acting, that she thinks that's looking like a bad impression. So yeah, it was very eye-rolly, them doing that. So are together now, and I appreciate that there wasn't much drama with getting them together, but they're together now, and there's this whole thing where basically, like, drugs him to act how she wants, because at the start of the episode, it's they're going into shore leave, so one of the things they want to do is go away together. So she brainwashes him. He starts acting like her in the scene where Erica is also in the scene, and it's just, yeah, it's pretty lame. It's pretty lame and eye-rolly once again. Chapel breaks up with Roger, like, out of the blue. And this scene was quite funny, like, because her having this idea then, because Spock is in the room when she's breaking up with Roger, and then she breaks up with Spock again. It's like, well, we're already broken up, and she's like, well, I'm just confirming it now, and she says it's illogical for me to have any, like, close friendships or relationships. That scene was quite funny, and then obviously she's got to mend things with Roger later on when she's brought back to being a human, and makes amends with Spock as well. Most of them back, where they're reverted to their human stage, and it's partly to do with a mindset. It's partly to do with, okay, we need to get back in the headspace and find the emotional core of what it is to be like a human again. But the only one who doesn't want to do it is Lan, because because of her DNA, because of her being related to Khan, Nooney and Singh. So that's what's blocking her. Then she's got like his DNA, and that's stopping her from wanting to become human again. And the whole sort of dark joke with her is that she's on the verge of like starting a war. And at one point Scotty has to knock her out. You get this weird scene with her and Spock, because it's been established earlier in the episode when Lan is talking to Una. We're taking it casually, we're taking it slowly, we're just hanging out and having fun. But then, I guess true to the character of Spock, like this version of Spock in this show, he is starting to feel awkward, and a situation does arrive where, okay, Lan feels awkward as well. So there may be complications. So we get this scene where Spock figures out what's going on and why she hasn't turned back. And they have this weird sort of fight, which turns quite operatic. And eventually you see where it's going. It's leading them into like a dance, like they've done before, like a dance. And she slowly turns back because it's almost like that's the way she finds her human side again. And they bring her back. And it's an interesting scene. I don't know if it quite works or not. Like, once you see where the scene is going, then I think it's fine. It's quite an interesting scene. But, yeah, it's also a bit of a, as I said, over the top, jarring sort of scene. It's a bit of a weird one. See what they were doing. It was maybe one of the more unique scenes in the episode, because so much of the episode I think was just filled up with this really lame, predictable sitcom humour, and just the gimmick just didn't work for me in the episode. Like, they didn't really do much interesting with it. It just all fell quite flat to me. One thing I do like is I do like the stuff with Una and Lan. Like, I quite like their little dynamic because they both sort of come out of their shells a little bit with each other. So that is something I do quite like. And at the end, Lan does go out on a date with Patton Oswalt's character, and there's almost a joke about how he's called Doug, which is a weird name for a Vulcan. Overall, the episode just felt flat to me. It was a little bit of a slog, and yeah, disappointing, because normally this show has a really good hit ratio of like bouncing back after a weaker episode. And I don't want to suggest that it's been a poor season overall, because there's definitely been a lot of high points, and I would say there's been more strong episodes than weak ones so far. But it is unusual to get two on the back, and I think going into the final two episodes, there is just this feeling that overall this has been a weaker season than the previous two. Like, maybe they just set a bar that's too high, but at the same time, I think there are things that are like objectively wrong, which are problems they could have avoided maybe. So yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. I know some people have enjoyed this one, but let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media. And you can also support me on patreon.com/borednow, or you can become a channel member, and I'll link that in the description to this video. If you just want to make a one-off donation, you can do it one of two ways. You can either go to my PayPal account, which is on the channel, or you can hit me up with a super thanks on this video. But thanks for watching. Keep watching Star Trek. See you guys again soon. Goodbye.